Hi, friends. Welcome to Enlightened World Network. Dr. Ruth Anderson here with Michele Landers for New Month Numerology, August 2025. Michele Landers comes to us as a board certified life purpose coach, hypnotherapist, and professional numerologist. She is truly a dynamic and gifted lecturer, teacher, author, and consultant on the subjects of personal empowerment, spiritual wisdom, the law of attraction, and numerology. So I'm so pleased to bring you Michele Landers. If you have not met her before, so excited that you get to enjoy her now. Michele, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ruth, as always. So here we are in the eighth month already. And I think we say this all the time, where is time going? And interestingly, I checked into, is time speeding up? And it's a really interesting thing. It's not necessarily that time speeding up. The planet and the atomic clock, which I knew nothing about, are not always in sync. So sometimes we have to add a second or take off a second. If you can believe that, that was wild. So there's so many wild things in this world and the universe that we don't know or understand. But I wanted to recap something that I thought was really important just to give people a little more information about what is all this? Is this really woo woo? Is this real energy? What is this? Because for so long, people have just discounted any type of astrology or numerology or psychic readings or the occult. And I don't mean occult in a negative way. And I thought it was important just to point out a couple of things. So, first of all, last month I talked about the tsunami warning that was a recent prediction I made in July, and it was about the ring of fire, and that was not my prediction. This was predicted by Ryo Tatsuki, and I felt that it was pretty powerful in conjunction with a lot of the things that I'm seeing, which is why I posted it. So while the exact date was off, the event happened, and not today, but the tsunami waves hit part of Russia today, and Japan and the United States, right in that ring of fire. And it was caused by an 8.8 earthquake off of Russia's eastern, whatever it is, peninsula, some peninsula there. So, coincidence? Or is it just evidence of the subtle energies that do align beyond our normal senses? I mean, we tend to think that here we are in these bodies, and what we can see and what we can touch is real, and anything else is thrown out as nonsensical. If I can't see it, I can't touch it. And yet, we are bombarded with rays, energetic, and rays all the time, as far as TV rays, all waves of energy and of electricity. It's bombarding us all the time. We can't see it. We can't see the wind, for that matter. So, not everything that we don't see, or everything that we see, first of all, that's not always absolute, but the things that we don't see doesn't mean that they don't exist. And I also mentioned last month that we can expect some rapid advancements in medicine. And coincidentally, just days ago, the University of Florida researchers developed an mRNA vaccine. Now, this is not the COVID, because I posted about this, and people who are against the COVID vaccine, we're a little bit up in arms. No, this is not the same. There are thousands of mRNA configurations. So this one is one that potentially helps the immune system target cancer. So I think that is pretty fascinating. And I'm sure there are so many there's other things that I could talk about, but we're not going to do it in this one. But that might be another, another video. So, astrology, numerology, and intuition don't always speak in exact dates, but they do very often tap into these energetic patterns long before they manifest. Astrology maps cycles, numerology decodes numeric energy, and intuition tunes into signals early. That's how we get these precognitions or intuitions about things. If the date isn't exact, it doesn't mean the energy is wrong, only that it's whispering, as I put on my Facebook page today, it's not roaring. So what if the universe is whispering before it roars? We don't fully understand how something works, and that doesn't mean it's not real. The universe is more mysterious, more intelligent than we've been taught to believe. And I always love this Shakespearean quote. And I think it kind of relates to this in, I guess it was Hamlet. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. So I think that speaks to we don't understand everything. So here we go. All right. I'm just going to touch briefly about the whole to-do about the Epstein files. Yes, more is going to come out. There's no doubt about it. Are we going to get everything? I don't think so. Maybe eventually, but just be prepared. There's a lot of, to do about, well, get it out. Let's hear it. I think more will come out, but I don't think it's going to be the whole enchilada. But going down the road, maybe in a couple of months, we may hear more. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So what's the themes for the month? Well, we're in Leo season. Leos are what? Kings, royalty, power, mastery, karma, achievement. Will we hear something about the royals? I think we are. I don't know exactly. That was like a last minute thing when I was doing the predictions. I said, oh my goodness, royalty. Yeah, what's going on with the royals? So I have to spend a little time on that, but I do believe there's something there that we'll hear about. So August is an 8 personal month and a 9 personal year. So the number 8 is karma. So how is that going to materialize? Well, we're going to be getting some effects of karma this month. Things are coming back to remind us. Things that show up may just be karma saying, I saw that, and this is the consequences. 8 is also primarily about power and money. So no surprise, right? That money often goes hand in hand with power, right? And we are in Leo season, and Leo is the lion. Leo is the king of the forest. Leo is fiery, it's passionate. So remember all those words, because that is definitely the undercurrent, maybe the overcurrent of everything this month. It's also going to bring issues about money, about investing, the financial state of the world and the US. It's going to bring up issues about leaders and power struggles. And I know that there were a couple of leaders that fell by the wayside, that stepped down, that died last month. And I think we're going to see more of that this month. So in numerology, Saturn is the planet linked to the number 8. It represents discipline. It represents responsibility. It represents hard work. And Saturn, I always call it the taskmaster. He's not bad. And I always refer to him to Saturn as a him. He's not bad. He's just a taskmaster. Like, I saw what you did, very much like karma, and this is what you have to do. This is this is what you have to do. This is the right way to do it. Do not cut corners. Stick to the goal. So that's important to know about Saturn. Saturn's watching. Saturn is in play this month. Pluto is sometimes associated with the eighth house as well. And Pluto is linked to life changes, endings, transformation, death, and rebirth. It can be demanding, and it could be wanting things my way. And 8 can also feel entitled. The number 8 is also very ambitious, which is why I think there's going to be a lot of, talking out there about, I want this, and no, I want this, vying for power, vying for position. So 8 is a double 4. Now, while the number 4 would be, I would say, like they would be a manager, maybe of a small enterprise, 8 does things on a larger scale. 8 would be the CEO or manager of a national or international organization. 8 is big. It's bold. It can be tough. The number 8 is also linked to achievement, to material abundance, and very importantly, an intense drive for power and often bullying. So we are going to see some bullying going on. But where's the spiritual aspects, right? What does that mean? How does that come into play? Because every number, as I repeatedly emphasize, it gives and it challenges. It depends on where you're spiritually, where you're at. If you're full of love and you're full of good intentions and you're not carrying around a lot of negativity or anger or hatred or whatever those negative things are, then you can be in conjunction with, or an 8 can come up for you. But if you are practicing certain, spiritual modalities, it's going to take a little bit of the edge off. I can guarantee you that. So there is some kind of karma going on here. And not that others without an 8 aren't going to get hit by karma. It's just that with the 8, it's usually very apparent. So 8 calls for balance, or if it's working in the negative, of course, it means what? Imbalance. So either we're going to find things are balancing out, and I'm not trying to be wishy-washy about this because I think it's going to be both, as in justice being served. And don't we all want that? Or justice not being served, but that's on the plate. Is justice being served? Is justice not being served this month? It is definitely a reap what you sow number. 8 also asks us to be very conscious of the understanding of money as a means of energy exchange, and to be really, really mindful of your spiritual responsibility where money is concerned. So, people will say, well, what does that mean? It's pretty simple. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting and having money. There's nothing wrong with that, whether you need it to make ends meet or you want things that give you personal pleasure. There's nothing wrong with that inherently. The only thing the universe does ask of us is that we understand that in this physical existence, at least for most part of the world, I know, yes, I realize there are probably tribes and groups of people who use different types of energy exchange for the things they need. I'm certainly not discounting that. I'm saying, like, right here and now, for majority, for this planet and most of the nations here, I'm simply saying that that's what we've chosen as money to use for the things we want. So if we're fortunate enough to have an excess of money to purchase things we really like, well, kudos, that's wonderful. Trips, bigger homes, cars, or whatever. Nothing wrong with that either. But here is where we get tested. If we want money simply to keep accumulating things, that creates an imbalance. That creates negative karma. However, if we also use some of that excess that we have to help others who are less fortunate than us, whether that is family, whether that's friends, whether that's charities, animals, then we're using that 8 energy, that financial abundance energy, in accordance with spiritual laws. That is satisfying the balance that 8 calls for. And I have found over the years that people who are on a conscious spiritual path, because you all know, and I use quote unquote, because we're all honestly, we all have, a specific, spiritually, a specific path or a journey or a purpose that we're destined to fulfill in this lifetime. And I could tell you that with numerology and a little bit of astrology, but many people who are on a conscious spiritual path, I've noticed can have, I've had it myself in the early years of doing spiritual work. They have this internal conflict about making money, thinking it's unspiritual. But that's simply not true. And that's simply because we've observed how people with enormous wealth have abused it, have used it in the most obscene ways. But that's their karma. And I have no doubt that karma will be served without any input on our part. So if we can remember that there is nothing on this planet that is inherently 100% good or bad, we know then that money is no different. So I encourage people, to work with the 8 vibration. So we're working 8 in a positive, it's achievement, it's accomplishment, it's recognition, it's financial abundance. And the shape of the number 8 is often associated, when you put it on its side, infinity, the infinity symbol. And what does that mean? That's unlimited potential. And it also represents the cyclical nature of life. So we can expect many, if not all, of the aspects of the number 8 to show up this month, with, again, an emphasis on power, money, and power struggle. It's this vision I got. I don't know why, but the vision I got was like from years ago, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots toy. I don't know why that came up, but that vision came up to me. It's like noise, and and I throw a punch and you throw a punch, and all these leaders, bullying tactics, people again vying for power, for position, a lot of manipulation. 8 is also a very physical number, because one of the things I noticed is a lot of athletes have 8s very prominent in their chart. So what does that mean? That means physical upheavals as well in the world. And again, we're going to continue. It might even intensify, unfortunately, this terrible weather pattern, floods, fires, hurricanes. Yep. Tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes, and tsunamis. So maybe more discussion about our currency, about Bitcoin. I keep mentioning Bitcoin because I think that's big, and I think that's coming in a big way. And it would be really so wonderful if this month we could experience the positive 8 traits like good judgment, fairness. I encourage people to step out of their egos. And because we all have an ego, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, because we all have egos. But, our ego, as I've said many times, walks around with this big measuring stick. And this is the way it goes. Am I better than you, or am I worse than you? The ego never understands equality. I'm not saying it's bad. It's bad. It's just the way it's set up. So if we can get away from our ego and look at something with a clearly 8 balanced mind, what's fair and what isn't, what's right and what isn't, I think we will get through the month in a much easier, better, more enlightened way. And it's interesting, in Chinese culture, right? The number 8 is considered the luckiest number of all, which I find so interesting. It's purposely worked into wedding dates, birth dates, addresses, finances, and something I didn't know in 2008, the Chinese hosted the Olympics on the eighth on the in the eighth month on the eighth day at 8:08 in the morning. So China puts a lot of stock into numerology. And interestingly, China is the world's second largest economy by nominal GPT after the United States. So here's something you might want to try. And it's so interesting because when I moved, I didn't do this and I need to do it. Get the number 8 and hang it over your door entrance to your home or to your business, which is a good reminder for me, as I said, because I didn't do it yet. And also put the number 8 in your wallet. Okay. I did this at our business that my husband and I had many years ago. And it was, I mean, we did a lot of things, obviously, with the business. We worked at it. We just didn't hang an 8 over the door and sit back and wait. We did work, but we did put the 8 in. It was very, very successful. So try it. Or again, carry it in your wallet. Can't hurt, right? So for the US, interestingly, is in a 1 month. Okay, so in August, what is that going to do? Let me show you the cards. Nope, I'm not going to show you the cards yet. But the first card of the tarot is the Magician. So I wanted to talk a little bit how that's going to show up. So that can mean for us new beginnings, some challenging new beginnings, but also some positive, surprising happenings, new energy, new information, or some type of change in a positive way. But also remember, the Magician can also deceive us. And with the background of the 9-year, just understand that something has to end in order for something to begin. So mass outpouring of people who are going to be speaking out, demanding things, demanding justice, demanding answers, strong urge of wanting something new or needing changes and the truth now. It's like this is so strong right now. So the number 1 is also about its leaders. And again, that ties in with 8, which are leaders. So it's a very interesting interplay of the 8 and the 1. So the different things can happen as far as our leaders expecting what we can expect from them, new information coming into the forefront, something new being implemented. So the Magician is this card. I just want everybody to, if they can see that a little bit. Yeah. Doesn't he look great? He has all the tools to make things happen. That's us. But he's also magical, so he can deceive us as well. The other card for August is the Strength card. And I love the Strength card. These are pretty good cards, right? That's the 8. So the Magician and the Strength card, these are 2 very strong and positive cards. And the Strength card is associated with Leo. So again, it's interesting how this all falls into place. And we're in Leo season. So the Strength card represents, of course, strength. It represents determination. It represents power. It is control. It also asks us to tame our emotional reaction. So it's saying, step into your power this month. If you don't like what's going on, then what can you do to change that? And we'll talk a little bit about that internally, what we can change. But it is definitely about speak up, speak out, step into your power. Don't be influenced in a way that keeps you from speaking your truth. It's, as I said, it's control. But now we also have, which I love, another great card is Let's see if you can see that. The Star card. Okay, all right. Now, the Star card follows the Tower card of last month. And we certainly had a lot of destruction, by the way, with water. And that's the other thing. I don't want to forget that. There was a lot of stuff on water, underwater, and there is going to be more. Well, underwater was the eruption of this recent earthquake. And that was some of the things I was referring to last month. So that's going to continue. Things happening, whether it's ships or underneath. Well, I don't want to say ships because I'm going on a cruise, so not happy about that, but surround myself. But on water, underwater, lots of flooding, the same thing that we've had in other countries as well. We also, interestingly, I don't even know why I'm mentioning this, we had a lot of celebrity deaths last month. So, all right, so the Star card urges us to have faith, to have hope. And we may get a little bit, I think we're going to have punctuations of some reprieves and some positive news, but it encourages us to make changes. It encourages us to allow ourselves to dream and to aspire. And it encourages us to strip back your false beliefs and deceptions and find the truth. And how do you do that? Well, you develop a strong spiritual practice, right? You meditate, you do all the things that you need to do to go into your center. We are part of this world, but we're also individuals. So a lot of intensity as we go into August. The more passionate and flamboyant, charismatic energy of Leo is going to be there, but there is a lot of potential for misunderstandings and harsh words, particularly around relationships and, of course, also around finances. So later in the month, the 23rd, we changed to Virgo, and that's a totally different energy. That's detail oriented and, all right, let's get down to business. August 1st, we kind of have, we start off with a little bit of some challenging aspects. Venus in Cancer, square Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This is very complex. It's this interplay of energy, very entangled. Now we have Venus, which is loving, and Cancer is emotional and sensitive. So that combination is very nurturing. However, we also have Saturn, which we know is a taskmaster, who has a need for structure. And Neptune can be deceptive. It could be elusive. It makes you look underneath the surface. And now in Aries, it can be headstrong. So it can feel very, very confusing. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. I've noticed that people's energy seems to be a little bit lower than normal. And the energy is being affected by a number of things, the planetary interplays that are going on, but also in a very logical and practical way, the heat that we've been experiencing. I don't care if you're in air conditioning or not, you're still somehow that overwhelming heat is still affecting us. So, just think about that. So if you're feeling a little bit off or your energy's low or draining, just know that it's not necessarily, okay, this is not medical advice at all. So realize if it seems abnormal to you, definitely, of course, see a doctor. So in Aries, it can be headstrong. So it can feel confusing, but it's also a 9-day. So it emphasizes a lot of the emotional aspects, but also, again, I keep bringing up this sense of outrage. And I don't know how that's going to show up, but it is. And it calls for endings. And to make the best use of this energy, lead with your heart and soul. I mean, bring your head along, please, but lead with your heart and your soul, and keep yourself from being deluded. It's very good for reevaluating pretty much everything in your life, I have to say. Do a reevaluation day. Look over all areas of your life without the influence of the voices in your head of family, of mother, of father, of friend, of husband, of wife, of children, of what's out there, of politics. Just see if you can get all of those voices out of your head and talk about to yourself about, what do I really want? What do I really feel? What's working? What's not working? So moving forward, I really want to talk about the period of between August 6th to August 11th, because this is a powerhouse of planetary influences. Mars enters Libra. Mars opposes Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Very aggressive energy, very much ego at play. I hope it's a fighting energy. I hope it's not going to be like that. It's crazy. It's confusion. We want social fairness. Things can break apart physically, emotionally, again and again. Water accidents, structures could fall, things can fall apart, things could be going the wrong way. So my suggestion is always watch out. Don't be rash. Be careful in your surroundings. Just be extra conscientious about where you are and who you're with. Now, in between this period, between 6 and 11, August 8th, Mars opposes Saturn. Mars is opposite Saturn and Neptune. Again, egos, escapism, foggy thinking. Something is illuminated, but it still seems a little foggy to us and uncertain. Also, again, in being deceived, that comes up a lot this month. So listen very carefully. Get really adept at weighing everything out and reading between the lines. You can do it. We all can do it if we, have our head on straight along with, our soul. Also, on August 8th, this is a great time for the Lionsgate portal. It's not just a great time, it is the Lionsgate portal. So this is a yearly occurrence, of course. It's a cosmic reset. And this portal is activated, of course, when the sun is in Leo, and Sirius, often called the spiritual sun. And it's Orion's belt and the Earth. This is when they all align. And it creates this really powerful, energetic gateway that has the vibration of 8, which is spiritual abundance, it's luck, it's intuition, it's awakening, and it's also material abundance. So gosh, I'm so hoping that we can all get to this space where we are really in tune with our inner self, because there's so many good things we could tap into this month if we're not filled with fear and anger and regret. And I'd like to post that all over. So on August 9th, we have a full moon that occurs in my sign of Aquarius. And wow, this full moon in Aquarius is forming a grand trine with Uranus, Mars, and Pluto. So yes, it can be unpredictable, Uranus and Aquarius, but it can also bring us, whatever you're doing on the 9th, be so open, because it can bring us divine downloads that spark our intuition. It can bring about breakthroughs. I think it's especially good for tech fields, but also, again, medicine. And as I said, what I had just recently read, I'm really encouraged by that. It can bring a focus on community and social issues. But know that Aquarius, well, we can be a little bit of a rebel, so there could be a lot of, speaking out, very rebellious energy. But because it's in the middle of this crazy transit between 8-6 and 8-11, We may have a sense of sacrifice. What do I have to sacrifice for something that's really important? We may feel like there's something we do have to sacrifice. It's about us and the worldwide community. And our energy right now is a little bit like stop and go, but it's also such a wonderful time for not just letting go of things that aren't working, but also for setting intentions. So we have all this crazy good energy, and then we have this energy that is pushing us and pulling us. So that's why I said, be in alignment with your heart and your soul and keep your head on as well. So let's see. Yeah, on August 11th, oh, right, August 11th, Mercury goes direct in Leo. Yay. Things should run a little bit smoother. And I think it's direct until around November. Also, Saturn is going to sextile Uranus and Gemini. Uranus, again, always likes to stir things up in Gemini. Those are two very, well, we have upheaval and surprises, and Gemini is busy talking, and Gemini is the future. This is wonderful for innovative ideas, for communication, for technology. On August 12th, and I guess I should also mention again, as I did in the lead in, a lot of these things, even though the energy, the planetary energy is kind of placed on that day, it's before and after these things can still happen. August 12th, we have Venus conjunct Jupiter. These are considered two benefics in astrology. And what does that mean? They're positive. They're very positive. Venus conjunct Jupiter, that's beautiful. That's love. That's money. That's abundance. It's a really spectacular conjunction. But what's the other side of that? As long as we don't get carried away with overindulgence or excessive behavior, you may come into money, a ton of money, but don't blow it all. Just be really conscious. You may fall in love, but again, keep your head on, bring your head with you, all of those things. But that is really a really, really nice conjunction. On the 22nd, we have now the sun in Virgo. So that's going to change the flavor of the end of August. And we have a new moon in Virgo square Uranus. That is also new beginnings. So Virgo has a lot to do with health. And I'm not sure if something will come up about health during that time. And it's very specific. It's very determined. And it's a very get her done kind of energy. So you want to tap into those positive aspects on those dates or before. On the 24th, we have the sun square Uranus and Gemini. Unexpected changes, breakthroughs, breakdowns. And then on the 28th, we have Uranus and Gemini and Neptune and Aries, and they form an exact sextile. Well, we kind of end the month pretty close to it with this, I think, wild creativity, and innovation, and it's visionary. And by the way, this transit is the first of 5 in a set of 5. And it's very central to this, what's called the magic triangle, which I'll, talk about another time, but just know that together, these planets encourage humanity to envision and begin building new paradigms, technologically, culturally, spiritually. It encourages deep spiritual connections and intuition. It's more open to new ways of living and seeing things. It can clear away the fog. It can clear away the delusion that we've been under, and we have been deluded. It's time to reform. So all in all, I have to say for the month, and I think my suggestions are pretty much the same, how to get through these months, is to be very as centered as you can, to practice meditation, to practice, take some quiet time out for yourself every day, whether that is just meditation or that's something more, to align yourself with like-minded people, to ask the universe to be shown the truth. And I will tell you that works every time. Post a question that you want answered, put that post-it all over your house. What do I need to know about? And then sit and wait, and the answers will come to you, because I have done this. And if truth be told, I don't remember all the time to do it. And when I do remember to do it, I always get an answer. So I guess this is a good reminder for me. And know that as the months go by, September seems to be a really intense month because it's a 9-month and a 9-year. But I think there's a lot of shifting going on between now and the end of the year. Also, I don't feel very good about Iran and Israel. I don't really want to go into that too much, but it's just not a good feeling. But I'd rather lead or end. Let me end, not lead. I'm not going to lead you into something. I'm going to end you with this. Keep the faith. Don't send poison arrows out. I know there are a lot of people who are just so filled with anger and rage. I'm telling you, the best thing in the world you can do for yourself and you can do for your planet and for your friends and family is to send love, even to your enemies. And I do a really good open your heart visualization, which I've done on EWN before. And I think I'd like to do it again, because it's about sending love to your energies, to your enemies. That's not condoning them. I want people to understand it's not condoning their behavior or terrible behavior. It's surrounding them with love, because love overcomes fear. Love overcomes hate. Love changes things. Love is light, and darkness cannot survive in light. So step into your power, be positive, make some changes, reevaluate what's working, what's not working in your life. And I will see you all next month. And thank you. And if you want to get in touch with me, please, I offer a free 15-minute consult. Just go on my website, michelelanders.com. I do hypnotherapy. I do numerology charts with a little bit of astrology. I do programs to help you grow and learn. So I'd be happy to speak with you about any of those things. So thank you for allowing me, Ruth, this platform to talk about all of this energy that can be so wonderful and challenging at the same time. But we're going to focus on love and abundance and faith and not fear. So thank you.
Thank you, Michele. You talk about law of attraction. So do you mind just taking a minute or two and just give us some guidance for the law of attraction in August? What should we be focusing on?
Okay. I think that in August, the big focus has to be on peace. That really, that's it. The big focus has to be on peace and truth. Okay. And the question could be, tell me what I need to know about bringing peace to the world. Tell me what I need to know about bringing truth to the world. I think those two pieces, especially with that 8, which is about balance, and it's also about truth, that's what we need to focus on this month. And the law of attraction.
All right.
Especially on 8/8, Lion's Portal.
Okay, Michele, thank you so much. I enjoy your monthly meetings every month. We've been doing it for 3 years now, and I
Wow.
appreciate it. So Thank you, Michelle. And friends, thank you for being here at Enlightened World Network. Take good care. We'll see you all in a month. Take care. Bye now.
Okay.